Massive wildfires have engulfed Zabaykalsk region in Russia's far east, local media reported on Tuesday. The wildfires have reached residential areas, prompting evacuation of local residents as well as a military facility, the 103rd Armored Repair Plant. According to the Ministry of Emergency Situations, the fire has already spread across 2,500 hectares of forest area. Earlier, Chita-Zabaykalsk highway was closed due to heavy smoke. Over 150 personnel have been deployed to fight the fires, with aircraft also being used in these efforts. However, firefighting work is hampered by extreme heat reaching up to 37 degrees Celsius and strong winds. A video footage circulated in social media captures the intensity of the wildfires in the region. The video shot by a local train operator shows burning summer homes as the train passed through the flames. Some 350 hectares of forest are burning in the region, with children's camps being evacuated. Due to the spreading wildfire, children's camp Zemchuzina was evacuated. Nearly 160 children were also evacuated from the Paris camp. Initially, 1 hectare of forest caught fire, but on June 22, the area of the fire grew to 100 hectares, reaching 350 hectares on June 23. The scope of the fire has reached 10 kilometers, the Ministry of Natural Resources reported in its latest update. The fire has 3 main directions, one towards the village of Novokrucheninsky, the second towards the railway, and the third heading towards Atamanovka locality in the region. Residents of Atamanovka are being evacuated. The village lost electricity, with local residents reporting a terrible and unforgettable night, according to social media reports.
In the last 4 months, there has been an increase in the use of sea platforms by Russian occupiers, Dmitry Pletenchuk, spokesman for the Ukrainian naval forces, said on air at Novosti Live. Answering a question about the situation with enemy missile carriers in the Black Sea, he noted that the situation has now returned in principle to that stable state when there are no ships at all at sea. No naval carriers were used tonight. However, overall, if we take the last 4 months, there has been a slight increase in the use of naval platforms compared to previous months, Pletenchuk said. At the same time, the speaker added he cannot say that the situation in the Black Sea Fleet has changed in any fundamental way. The ships are still based in Novorossiysk, and yes, of course, it is more difficult for them to use carriers in that location. There are, of course, some difficulties with this, but in any case, the so-called Black Sea Fleet has 8 such carriers as of now. And of course, we also take this threat into account, he noted. Ukraine is now expected to launch a large-scale attack on platforms in the Black Sea. In addition, the Crimean Bridge is also one of the main targets. Captain First Rank of the Ukrainian Navy Reserve Pavlo Lakichuk said that the Ukrainian Defense Forces are gradually approaching the Crimean Bridge, destroying Russian air defense systems. According to him, Ukraine is trying to break through a corridor in the enemy's air defense in order to attack the bridge with a large number of missiles and drones. According to him, Ukraine is trying to break through a corridor in the enemy's air defenses in order to attack cities with a large number of missiles and drones. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have not yet reached the Crimean Bridge. However, it is obvious that they are getting closer to it. Every time Ukrainian weapons strike Russian airfields in occupied Crimea, Belbek, Novofedorovka, Saki, Dzankoy, as well as launchers in Tarkankut and Fiolent, this means that our defense forces are once again breaking through a corridor in the Russian air defense in Crimea, Lakichuk noted. In addition, he emphasized the Ukrainian armed forces are constantly working to destroy Russian air defense in the temporarily occupied Crimea in order to carry out attacks deep into the peninsula. This is a local operation. When these objects are hit, it means that in a week, and perhaps even sooner, Ukrainian drones and missiles will fly much further, the expert added. Russia still has enough funds to continue the war, but some cuts have already been made. Contract payments to soldiers are reportedly being reduced. This was stated on Espresso TV by economist Ivan Us, chief consultant at the Center for Foreign Policy Studies of the National Institute for Strategic Studies. First of all, there are still accumulated reserves. Yes, they are small, but they still exist. Secondly, the Russian economy is functioning. Sanctions were imposed by Western countries, but not by the Global South, and they represent a significant portion of the global economy, he said. Us noted that the G7 currently accounts for 40% of the global economy. Russia's normal relations with countries of the Global South allow it to keep functioning. But even though there's still money to keep the war going somehow, we are not seeing cuts. It's no secret that contract payments in Russia are being reduced. These are the first warning signs that big problems are coming soon, The Economist concluded. If soldiers' salaries are cut, it is expected to lead to rebellion and disobedience in the Russian army. Russian military personnel pay for repairs to their service vehicles with combat grenades. This is evidenced by intercepted communications obtained by specialists from the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. In a conversation intercepted by intelligence officers, a resident of the Bryansk region talks about the realities of commodity money relations in Russia. They detained one guy in Voronezh, paid him off. In short, they found grenades at home. He helped the soldiers repair the car, and instead of money, he took a grenade and something else, she says. According to the Russian woman, it is becoming increasingly dangerous to travel around the Bryansk region due to the fighting. A military vehicle was blown up on a dirt road, so now you shouldn't even go into the forest, she warns. Russia is paying an extremely high price for its invasion of Ukraine. More than 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed or injured. The country's economy is in free fall, and NATO has expanded its presence along its eastern flank. Vladimir Putin had expected victory to be swift, but instead, 3 years on, Moscow is isolated. The war is affecting every part of Russian life, with US defense officials estimating the war in Ukraine has so far cost the Kremlin more than $220 billion, twice the size of its annual defense budget. Russia's defense industry has also lost $10 billion in arms sales.